So the question on everyone's mind is, how do you make money online and how do you make money doing what you love? I'm Sandra Bellamy, otherwise known as the Asexual Entrepreneur and Author, and I interview other authors, entrepreneurs and creatives how they make money, make cash, doing what they love, so you can do the same. Make Money, Make Cash is all about putting the law of action back in attraction, because without action, nothing happens. So hit that subscribe button and the bell icon now so you can discover how you can make money, make cash, doing what you love, doing what you're passionate about, and doing what will make your dreams come true. And stay tuned for our next interview. Hi, it's Sandra from Make Money, Make Cash, putting the law of action back in attraction. And today I've got a very special guest, Monica Ramirez, who is the warrior of love. Hello, Monica.
Hi, how are you doing, Sandra?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm so looking forward to our interview today.
Oh, me too. I've been waiting for this one. Thank you so much.
It's great for you to be here. So, for the people who are listening who don't know who you are, could you tell them a bit about yourself, what you do, and more importantly, why you do it?
Sure. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. I am a transformational belief coach. I help people to go from confusion to clarity, to feeling disempowered to feeling empowered. And I do this because it's one of my passions as much as it's art. It is also helping everybody in this planet because we're in ascension.
So how did you get started doing that?
I come from a family of psychics. So since I was a little girl, one of the first things that we always used, but it was something that it was common, it was telepathy. And that started since I was a little girl. And I believe when I was starting being a teenager, I started opening the Akashic records. And that time, of course, I did not have any instructions. It was something that I did, like going to eat, like learning how to write. And I started just asking for the files of everything and every single experience. But I was not conscious in that time what I was doing. So it took me many years, many turns in life, so I can that I come to understand now that I am a connector of energies. So that's why I work with my clients. I start teaching channeling, and that's when I realized that there was a lot of fear behind channeling. So I went back to the basics. My guide sent me back to the basics and to start working with people, with removing the fears and the limiting beliefs that we all have. So like that, I can teach what it is channeling and how to heal in my modality that my guides and me we created.
So first of all, I want to ask you, what are the Akashic? Is it Akashic? Akashic, is that how you pronounce it, records? And what is a channeler? For those who've not heard of it, who are new to these terms, what are they both and how do they work?
Well, the Akashic records, they're in the ether. Basically, it is everything in the history of everything and everyone that is being created since even before the planet Earth, because I do galactic Akashic records too. So you can connect to all the history that where we come from, what we have done good and what we have done wrong. They don't have the judgment as human beings we have. So it is in there in those, let's put it, files without any judgment. But it helps us to know where we are from, where we're coming from, and what's the situation where we are reliving it, or why we're passing through whatever we're passing through, and to observe all the choices that we can make. Because each choice is going to take you to a different place. It's not that because it's written, this is going to happen. No, because we always have a different choice to make. And it's just teaching us in a way what possibilities it can happen in whatever choice we do. That's the Akashic records. The channeling is basically you're connecting to the multidimensional beings, or that's in my case. Of course, there's other people that have a different, wanted to connect to a different kind of beings. But in my case and what I teach, it is to connecting to multidimensional beings of the higher realms. And basically, we're translators of our of that communications because it comes in telepathy. It comes through sensations, through all our emotions, through our senses, and we are just translating that language to the humankind and help us to guide.
So what's the difference between that and multiverses then? Or is that the same thing?
It can be the same thing because in a way, if we can connect to multidimensional beings, we can connect also at the same time to different dimensional beings. So it is infinite for who we can connect.
So do you believe or do you know that multiverses do actually exist? Because some people just think it's theory, whereas other people totally believe it and know it's true.
Yes, I do agree totally in that. We can connect to, they do exist. Scientists, thank God, finally, they're catching up. And with all this, that is actually now, finally, we can see they're starting to mix the science with all this energy work that we are all doing. Before it was a big divide, it was a divorce between both of them. So it was, there are many things that we can't prove it per se, but science is catching up, and that is very good for all of us, for elevating the human conscious.
Yeah, obviously we can't see electricity, but we know it's still there because we see it go through things or activate things, but you can't actually see it as such usually in everyday life. So
Exactly.
So, what experience did you have? Did you have any personal experience that brought you to your calling of, because you were explaining that you didn't know, you weren't conscious before. And so you come from a family of psychics, but you weren't consciously aware of your power at that time, I'm guessing. And so what brought you from sort of being in that place where you knew something's different about you, but you didn't know till later on? Did you have something happen in your life that spurred that on?
I feel one of the conclusions that I got, it was that we all human beings, we have different awakenings, and it goes in grades for whatever is our capacity in that moment. That doesn't mean that my absolute truth, it is this one and that's it, is gonna stay like this for eons. No, it might change tomorrow because each day it is different, and my understanding and my conscience is also amplifying like everybody else. We are learning, we're continue learning, the same universe continue expanding. So it started when I was a teenager. That's when I started becoming more strongly as an artist in poetry and painting. So I did not knew then that I was channeling all my art through that. Years have to pass, and I had a school of metaphysics about 35 years ago in Veracruz, where I was teaching not channeling, meditation, and also how to start working with yourself. When I moved to United States about 25 years ago, I was trying to fit in into the society, and I went into hiding. And I was, of course, very depressed because it was a big change and culture and in many levels, coming from Mexico to United States and trying to adapt to a new country, new language, new culture, new everything. I was just trying to fit in. So it was easier for me to go to back to sleep that actually continue playing with the energies. Later on, I understood that that was more important than actually try to fit in. But in that time, that's what I thought. So what happened after that, I went to many sun dances, sweat lodges, and so forth. And I started learning again from the Native Americans in the United States that it was very helpful in a way. But I have to go through more things in my life so I can really start working with me. I got sick with lupus, RA, and fibromyalgia and depression. And I was not getting better. I was going one doctor to another doctor, medications and so forth, and the doctors basically told me that it was just a matter of time when the lupus started actually affecting real my main organs, and I was just getting worse. And I was between marriages, horrible marriages that I was living in that time, that it was just provoking, making it worse. And I came to understand, to make this big shift and heal myself, that I was needing to forgive myself for the choices that I have done, because at the end I chose them. I chose even being sick. I am a true believer that all the sickness are psychosomatic and that we provoke it ourselves. Even if the doctor told me that it was not possible to heal any of them, only you have to take a pill for the happiness for the rest of your life. That was not my way to heal myself. So I started becoming conscious of what I was doing, and I started taking what I was thinking, feeling, and doing. I started taking different classes in New Zealand and in England and in the United States of NLP, of managing multidimensional energy, and that's when I discovered my guides. They present themselves to me, and they gave me my name, Warrior of Love, and I started working with them more than I was taking classes, and at the same time I was getting teachings from them. And that's when I discovered that all my art that I have created all my life, it was coming from them, and it had a purpose for the subconscious of the human beings to go. And after that, I've been helping people, artists mainly, to believe in themselves since before I knew what I was doing, because I had two art galleries. And with the artists, they manage a lot of the emotions, and in the best way possible than even many human beings, because or else they can't create. So that was why I was helping them, and they don't believe in themselves because they're trying to control the ego, because that's what the society program all of us not to believe in ourselves. So I was working with them in that level, but I did not knew what I was doing until I took all the classes and I started working with myself. That's when the shifts actually came. And I don't only start working only with artists. I start working with everybody else. I was teaching even blind people how to paint and exhibit their work.
Blind people.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
I was working with the National Federation of the Blind.
How did you get involved in that?
Well, when I opened my art gallery in the 2000, I just planned to teach art classes and to exhibit my artwork, and that's it. But the poets came, and then the musicians, and then the dancers, and other artists, and they just converted organically in a cultural center. The same applies with the National Federation of Blind. They look for me because I've been teaching art, if I can teach them, and I was like, how we're gonna do this? And I blindfold myself so I can create art, so I can experience what they were feeling, and then I can help them out also in what they were, and learning from them too at the same time, how it feels a blue, how it feels a red, what emotions can come that without your eyes. So when I start working with myself to teaching them how to paint, that's when I start working. I start creating fundraisers for them and so forth, for to helping them out to express an emotion.
Wow. So did you get started with the artwork before you did your healing work, did you say? You've been doing your
Yes,
artwork a lot longer. How many years have you been doing your artwork?
for 43 years.
Wow, you look so young as well.
Well, I started young. My mother was an artist, so I started painting when I was 6 years old. I started exhibiting my first artwork when I was 13.
That's incredible. So when you say about your guides, what are, for people who don't know what that means, what do you mean by your guides? Is it yourself, or is it your angels, or what do you mean for the people who don't know what that means?
Well, we all human beings, we have our guides. I'm not more special than anyone else. The things we forgot. We all have our guides, we have angels, we have guides that are permanent, they're being with us for eons. And there we have guides that they come and show us something that we need to learn, and they leave. But we have an entourage, all of us, every single human being. They cannot interfere because we have our free will, unless we ask for help. And the majority of the people are channeling. Where do you think the inspiration comes from? For anything, for math, to result in math or in science or in art or whatever it is, it's coming from there. We're connecting. But of course, we're not conscious when we're connecting. Those inner monologues that we think we have in our heads, those are the conversations that we're starting to have with them. But we think it is only us and our thoughts. Those thoughts that are giving you answers when you're thinking, where do you think they're coming from? Because it's not even the same voice of yours.
That's very interesting. So I know you've got on your website something about your higher self. So how does the higher self, when you're talking to your higher self, compared to your actual guides? Like, how are they different? Because some people might feel that they talk to their higher self, but yet they don't talk so much to guides. That it's very much that they've got a different like higher coach, if you like, a higher version of themselves that's coaching themselves, and that's like, you know, they're consciously aware of themselves, and that's what they use rather than guides as such. And I noticed you said something about higher self on your website. So what's the difference between locking in and listening to your higher self and getting that awareness and actually having guides? Because obviously these are different things, aren't they, assumably?
Yes, we all human beings, we have our higher self. Basically, our higher self, it is us in the future. So the being that is going to have the best interest for us is going to be our higher self. Because if we amplify our conscience, they also grow. And we're talking about their higher selves that come from the 6th to the 7th to the 10th dimension. It depends on each person. And that we can say, oh, all the higher selves come from the 6th dimension, because that would be a lie. It depends on each human being and the personal work they have done with themselves. And obviously for the best interest for our higher self to help us to amplify that conscience. But on top of the higher self, we have our oversoul. Our oversoul, it is the part that is already divine. It's the part that is connected already to source. Because at the end, everything in the universe, including us, of course, and every single human being or beings like even a rock, it comes from source. Everything that's been created comes from source. And that's the part that we need to understand as human beings, that we're not separated from anything and anyone.
How do you think some people feel about the fact that we're connected to everyone? Do you think some people think, oh my gosh, if I'm connected to a bad person, then that's not good? They might feel not good about that.
Yes, not everybody believes that, and that's their choice. That's their option. That's their experience of life. And if they want to believe it or not, that's their choice. But in reality, yes, we are connected even to the worst human beings that we can find. We're connected to them, and if our experience it is to be in front of us, it is also our reflection that it is presenting in front of us. That's something that we have to work. Everything we're here in this planet to learn and grow and expand. Every single human being, including me. So when a situation or a person that is attacking me and is in front of me, I just have to ask myself, what do I have to learn from this? What is this person is showing that is making me react? Because in reality, that person is just showing a part of me that it needs to be worked. And no one can work my own issues except me. And everything is a mirror image of us. Every single experience we have. So if we observe it and we learn from it, it is easy to move on. Even though we can get stuck and we just go into our anger, we can even get sick. Like I did, we can get we are not going to understand that person. We always have to put the shoes. What is behind that thing that is making us trigger? And that's a way we can expand our conscience.
It's very interesting. It's good that we're diving into this, because obviously some people don't know all this information. And so that people that are new to it, they need to have like a basic knowledge, which I think is really good that you're sharing this with us. So thank you so much. So in terms of your artwork, going back to that first, from a business point of view, like how did you set the artwork up? So if someone's watching now and listening now and they're thinking about, oh, I'd like to set up an art studio, I'd like to get people buy my artistry, or is artistry the right word? buying my paintings and coming to art classes, which came first? Did the paintings that you sell of your own come first, or did the art classes come first? And how did you get started? Like, did you hire a building, or what did you do? How did that come about?
Well, I believe the art came before the teaching art classes. That's definitely is you start creating art. I start creating art because I had the need to express, or the channel is the same thing, and it is a way to express my emotions or a thought or an idea, and it's that came first. And then I learned different techniques how to express it, and even in the same art there are thousands of methods. You can paint in oil or in acrylic or in any medias. So that came first. And when I moved to the United States, it was easier for me to open an art gallery that be teaching for someone else. I don't think I have bosses, of course, in my life. When I work in different works, but it's easier for me to open my art gallery and be my own boss in that way. And that's where I start teaching my selling art. It is not easy. It is very hard to find the collectors and so forth. It's a very difficult career, and more when we don't know what we're doing. And even if you know what you're doing, in the pandemic, I bet it hit us all. All the artists, we were very affected by it because we're not selling a priority. People do not need to eat art, and that's one of the main reasons why it's very hard. You can set up your studio and whatever you want. I have students that they're painting in their kitchen. Not necessarily they have to go and open a studio or rent a room or a space for that. Anybody can paint in whatever corner they have in their home. And from there, when you want to expand more, well, you might be looking for bigger places for that. And that is optional, and depends on what do you want to do. Art, it is a passion. Art, it is something that is born within. And if you're going into the art career thinking that you're going to become rich, you're approaching it in the wrong way, because it is not that easy. But at the same time, not teaching even spirituality, it is not an easy job. It's not that you're gonna become rich. It's just you're very happy you can pay your bills. That's all you want. But and you're doing what you really like, makes the difference.
Yeah, that's what this show's all about, finding people who make money doing what they love, which is the main success, really. Like, people think like having loads of money is success, but just to like be able to live comfortably and pay your bills and also to do what you love is real success, because you're spending all of your life loving something rather than just working for the sake of working. It's like passion projects all the time, really. So in terms of getting clients for your spiritual work, how does that come about? How do you go out getting clients? Is it through ads or social media or people in person? How does that work?
I do work a lot internationally, and I, of course, before the pandemic, I was doing it in person, and it was mainly to the local people. But the pandemic, it brought us a lot of harm, but at the same time, it brought us a lot of good for the world. It changed our way of doing business, or even connecting with people. Look, you're in England, I am in South Texas. This is a clear proof of that. And social media, it became a big player for all of us. How to do business. You can find people even selling clothes or selling whatever in social media. The same applies for our classes. I even if my first language is Spanish, For me, it is easier to connect in English because there are more people in the world that can connect in English than in Spanish. So I do it online. I do challenges once in a while for free. I'm a free believer that we need to give back to the community, and I teach different themes to help them out. I do have many programs that I work with people. And right now, I'm gonna be having in November and activating your multidimensional energy. There is a program that it goes with a certification as a channeler and a healer. So, and like that, I have always different kind of programs, so I can be expanding also the way of people observe the same life.
So what would be the steps if someone's listening now and they wanted to be an artist or a spiritual healer? What steps would they need to take for each to actually make some money at either of those? Where would they start?
You don't go to the business of spirituality or art for looking for money. For that, become a lawyer or a doctor. You know, is this is we don't go for to this to become rich. When we're writing in a book, it is just to give the message around the world. This is not because we're gonna become famous and automatically super rich. I've been the bestseller already.
I wanted to talk to you about it because basically, what if there was someone listening now who really loves doing art and it's like their passion, they've done it since like school and they were really good at school and they've carried it on, they do it weekends, their spare times, and they absolutely adore it, but they're like, how do I make money off this? How, because I want to do this for a living, how do I sell it? What would you say to that person?
Well, if they wanna just if they wanna start, first of all, do not go for in any of this for money, because or else you're not gonna become even a good artist, or you're not gonna become a person that wants to help others. It's just thinking to helping themselves, and more in the spirituality it is basically first helping others, thinking in how you can help others and be a service of others, not much about yourself. That will come to in consequence when you're helping others. The same universe will help you too. But doesn't work vice versa. And in the art, so I would recommend to take any kind of certifications to learn more about it, to study about it. It might be for you, it might not be for you. But more that you're learning and expanding your way of thinking, you will know if that is for you, and that also apply for the art. Many people wants to start just painting, and they're lucky or copying other artists and thinking, oh, with this I'm gonna exhibit all around the world. It is very tough. I have participated in at this point in these 43 years in solo art exhibits close to 300, and collective art exhibits is about 500 or something like that, and not all the time myself, but it do cost me every time I exhibit. So many times you actually put more money to exhibit your work than actually sell your work. And if you do it, you're doing it because it's your passion, but not because it's the best business in the world. No, we don't see it like that, artist. It's a need that we have to, that we all feel to express ourselves. And the same applies for the spirituality. Learn, learn techniques, learn different. There are thousands of methods that the people right now, every day I'm learning. Oh, there's a new modality that I have never heard, and it can be very useful or not. Like I am a master Reiki, but when I work with the chakras, I work it in a very different way. I don't even use Reiki at all anymore. So there's thousands of techniques that they can learn. Get training, get certifications, learn what is your modality that is for you.
So from a point of view of Reiki then, what is Reiki for people who don't know? What do you do during a Reiki? Is that you pronounce it, Reiki session? What do you do in a Reiki session?
Well, in the Reiki, basically you're healing with different symbols a person in different ways. You're aligning and balancing the chakras, and like that you can start moving, because basically the chakras are the vortex that all human beings we all have, that they manage in our way of our energy levels and different aspects of our life and body. Um, from it goes from the main ones are the same ones that the seven ones that we all work with, but we have in reality 300 and something chakras. We have it in
Wow.
the vortex that we have it. We have it in the points of our hands. We have it in different parts of our body, our feet, etc. But the main ones that we work all is the seven ones, and it goes from our root chakra that is in the base of our spine to our crown chakra. Of course, we have more chakras on top of us too, but the main ones that want the majority work it is the seven one. And the Reiki is a good technique that it have helped many, but at the same time it have their own limitations. There are always more than that to learn from it, and that's why I don't even practice Reiki anymore. I do it in a very different way. I like to work with the subconscious, so I do it in level theta.
Is that hypnosis, presumably?
Not necessarily. I
Oh,
am a hypnotherapist too, but I work a lot in theta level, unless I'm doing a regression that I have to hypnotize someone. But obviously, it's always by their approval.
so theta is the one where you're sleeping, is it?
It's before you go to sleep. When you're going to sleep and you're very tired, or when you're waking up, that is the theta.
Which is when the optimal time is for reprogramming your mind, as far as I understand. Is that correct?
Exactly. Because you can go directly to the operating, I call it the operating system, our subconscious.
Wow. So in terms of being an author, I'm really excited to talk to you about this. I'm an author myself. I publish under my own imprint of Quirky Books. So that is my passion, by the way. I do that regardless of money. I love it. I love it so much. So I have to do that. It's within my soul purpose, life purpose. One of them. I've got a few, but my main one. So yeah, so from a point of view of being an author, like how did you get involved in that? How did you find out that you like being an author, that you like writing? So how was that journey for you?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I've been writing my poetry since I'm a teenager. So my first book, my solo book, I have participated in many anthologies. Some of them have become very famous, like the ones in Blue Talks. The one I have participated, that was one of the bestseller, but one of the bestsellers that I participated in that anthology in the Amazon, and and then my poetry book right now it is with the editor because it became I translated because the first it was made in Spanish and it's translating right now to come out the second edition in English and Spanish. And my other book that is Path to the Heart, that is my transformational system that I created. The first level it is coming out in hopefully in this year. Is right now with the editor too. And how I discovered that I have the need to express myself and I have the need to actually help others. And this is the best way I can help others at the same time. And that's why I do it.
Yeah, I love writing. It's my lasting legacy. So I'm really always excited when I talk about writing. So with Blue Talks then, tell for the people who don't know what Blue Talks is, talk people through the Blue Talks, what it is. Obviously, I know Corey Poirier is in charge of Blue Talks, but if you want to talk people through it who've never heard of it before, because you were a speaker in Miami. Only
Yes.
was it like when did you get back? Was that last night you got back or the day before?
Yeah, about 2 days ago in the 7th, I came back. Yes, Blue Talks, it is how I describe it to people, it is the text talk, but it's spiritual in a way.
Yeah.
And there's books and there's interviews and there's talks that they're doing everywhere. Miami was my second one. The first one was in Harvard,
Wow.
Blue Talks, and the second one was Miami. And they were inviting me for another one. So like, no, I have other things to do, and besides, I catch up as a family too with my kids. but right now, I believe they're doing it in Toronto, and they're gonna do it in Colombia. They're gonna continue doing it, and it is basically coaches and healers and different kinds of entrepreneurs that they participate in with Corey in Blue Talks, and you can go all woo woo if you want. As because in TED Talk, even for most that we all like it, that part it is not very open in TED Talk. Anything that is kind of woo woo or spiritual, they don't accept it.
So is that paid speaking gigs, or do you pay to be there, or how does that work if someone wanted to get involved in that themselves, for example?
Well, in you can get as a keynote speaker that you can get pay gigs after that, and everything you have to invest in yourself. You want to become a great life coach, you have to take classes. You have to get trained by other people. And I see Blue Talks, it's been a big trainer for me. Besides of you make great connections with amazing people that they're in your same field, they're talking your same language. And that is just amazing because it is not easy to talk with everybody about what is really passions you in your daily life. And in there you will get that. And in the one in Miami, they had a mastermind where they brought different speakers that it was very interesting to learn more about that, about how to promote yourself better or things like that, because we don't know it all, and the algorithms of social media, they're changing all the time, so always need to be catching up. So if you want to give the message and you want to get more to more people, we need to learn more things. So you have to be in training all the time, or else you just get outdated.
Do you find a lot of the money that you get from your business goes back into investing in yourself to learn more things for your business? Do you find that's an ongoing cycle?
Yes, yes, it is. It's always it's always cycling, and the universe is always listening to me. So if I want something, I just have to ask for the universe. The money will come for that, and then it will go out. Let's put it like that.
Wonderful. So how does what you do work with intuition? Is it all to do with intuition, or is spirituality and intuition two different things for you?
I believe it's the same thing because your guides will try to communicate with you in many forms, in many ways, and one of them it is going to be through your intuition. So it is the same thing in reality, and it is about to surrendering to your guides, surrendering to that inner GPS that we all have, so we can get ourselves guided. Because when we're trying to open a door and that door continues shutting off, and we continue trying and trying, maybe that door it was not for us. And if we wanted it easier to the doors open for us and make those amazing connections or having the best help for others or ourselves, it is when we are surrendering ourselves and letting ourselves guide. The law of attraction, it is always listening to us. But if we don't feel we deserve it, we don't deserve that money, we don't deserve that business, that job, that whatever it is, love, whatever we're searching for, how we're gonna achieve it. If you think that you ask to the universe, I want $1 million. Okay, the universe is listening to you, but another part of you, that probably in your subconscious that you have, that you don't worth it, that you don't worth $100. So the universe is listening at the same time. The $1 million that you ask for, but you only can have 100 because that's what you only thing that you can have. So the universe is gonna give you only $100. So you have to work with yourself first and letting go of that limiting beliefs so you can have the $1 million.
This is very good information and insight. Yeah, a lot of times we have to work on our mindset and our inner self before we can get like money and things like that. I think it's an ongoing journey throughout your whole life. um I am guided by my intuition, by the way, in case you're wondering. But with me, it's more like it comes from within myself, like a higher self all the time. And I see like a future, the future me, and I'm like, how do I get there? Because there's like, oh, yeah. So, but if I listen to my intuition, things usually turn out well and good. I'm on the right path. But if I don't listen, things go bad. And then I'm like, oh, I've got to listen. Even if my intuition just seems strange, maybe to some other people, I'm like, I just follow it all the time now, even though it's bizarre sometimes, I guess, to the people who might be looking in, but no one gets to look in anyway. I just go for it. So yeah, like I can think of something like I can think of like a shop, and I think I'll need something in that shop, but I don't know what it is till I go in there, and then I find it, like that type of thing. So yeah, I do love that. So in terms of business, like what would you say are the overall things that you like about your business in terms of the business side of things, and things that you don't like? So things that make you feel good and things that make you feel bad or not so good that you find difficult.
It is tough because we have to be writing content, and obviously I came to understand a while back that whatever we have lived in our past, that we have grown and we have learned from it, it was the more painful stuff that you can imagine. And that happens to the majority of the coaches and healers. We have already lived really horrible things, so we can actually be help to others. So writing our content, it is coming from that space, from the pain that we learn from that pain. And we have to be writing content regarding that, because that's what we're going to be helping. When I was talking with people about how do I heal myself, I have to talk how I provoke it first, so they can understand that I can understand them exactly where they are at. I only can help people in reality that already they're living what I live in my past. I was a battered woman too, in that one of my marriages. So for me, it's easier to help other women that are in the same situation, because I have that experience. I understand where they're passing through. So I have to talk about that. That was a big change for me, because I wanted to talk before about how I was getting beaten. But then how they will know if I can help them out or not? So I have to be vulnerable and show who I truly am, so like that they understand that I can help them out. And that's what the majority of the coaches do. We became vulnerable when we're talking about that. And you have to understand that, so you can attract the right clients for you. Not everybody is for everybody. We're not golden coins. We cannot work with everybody, because not everybody is our student. We don't learn from, and the same teacher can be teaching you the same, and you might not resonate with that teacher. You might need a different kind of teacher, and that happens to all of us. The same applies for our students. Not every single student is for you. The right ones will come, and it will come through your content. So that's that's the difficult part that you have to overcome, and you have to have compassion if you wanted to go into the healing part in this arena. If not, you're not gonna help anyone, and your ego is just gonna be attacking you, and that door is gonna continue shutting off until you start having compassion for others, or else this is not for you. Not everybody is meant to be a coach or a healer neither, and many of us do at the same time. It depends on what do you want to do with your life.
When you say that you are doing content, you're obviously talking about people's pain points that you've been through yourself, so that you've gone through that journey, you've healed yourself, and you're taking others through that journey. How do you personally deal with the fact that you're bringing up traumas from your past without reliving them whilst you're trying to help someone else?
Well, if we wanted to help someone else, we have to already overcome that pain. So overcoming that pain, something I came to understand about shame, the shame is gonna be always there if you don't speak about it. But in the moment you start speaking about it, you're healing yourself from that shame. If you just hide it, that shame is gonna be there, always as your shadow. But in the moment you put the light to your shadow, the shadow do not exist anymore.
Do you feel that it puts you back in the trauma though, talking about it? Do you feel the trauma still within you, or is that completely gone, or does it reactivate it in any way?
It is not. I already overcome many of. I'm not saying that I'm free of any traumas. I'm still working with myself, and every single human being, if they're in this plane, they're still working with themselves, including the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra. Everybody's there in this plane is because we're working with ourselves in one level or the other. But we overcome our pains. If I did not do that, I will continue being depressed with lupus, RA, and fibromyalgia. I have to learn to forgive myself for the choices I did and the other one, for accepting them in my life that they caused, like the husband I had, he used to beat me. And I have to overcome that and learn to forgive him, because in a way he was just my teacher. I don't have to relive it. I am not accepting him in my life. But I was needing to forgive him for what he did to me, and me for accepting for accepting that choice that I did. I was needing to forgive myself, and that was harder than forgive him, but I did.
So by the choice, you mean that you chose to be with him in the first place, is that correct, and marry him?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but I'm known as Ace Fibro Girl, so you probably didn't know that. And I have a book called Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. So instead of looking at fibromyalgia negatively, I see lots of superhero benefits. It's basically told in a superhero style. You can see it now if I put it. There we go. So I did this book and I published it in 2019, but actually fibromyalgia freed me from depression. And so that's why and it's helped me to look after myself better and things like that. So I actually have a better life since I've got fibromyalgia. I've worked for the NHS before in the UK, and I've worked with helping people to recover from mental health, but instead of trying to get them over their mental health and free of it, it was all about helping people to manage their symptoms. So that was really interesting. So I kind of come from things at a slightly different point of view in that, but I'm really proud of my book and I love it. So if I hadn't have had fibromyalgia, I wouldn't have been able to write this book. But this is all about how to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier, like a superhero rock star. Because you might have noticed I've got loads of energy for someone with fibromyalgia, which is not really normal. And so
Yes.
I live like a teenager and love it, but I've changed my life considerably in really good ways since I've had fibromyalgia. So actually it's brought out a better side of me and better things for me. So I kind of feel much more empowered by having my persona as Ace Fiber Girl. So yeah. But I know that obviously that is not normal. Most people with fibromyalgia, they hate it. They kind of want to get rid of it. And it is brought on by trauma as well, as you know, I no doubt.
All our pains are helping us to grow if we learn from them, or else we can get stuck in the pain. How many people we know that they have fibromyalgia for years and they haven't healed it, and they live in a horrible pain? And how many people like us have overcome fibromyalgia, and it's not medical possible according to the doctors, but we did.
I've still got it. So I've still actually got fibromyalgia, even though I wrote a book about how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier. So although I've got fibromyalgia, I live my life very, very differently and unconventionally, which helps. And I use the power of my mind to block out a lot of the pain as well. So yeah, I do actually still have it. I don't say I've ever got rid of it, but I do think I don't take medication for it or anything. So I manage it holistically. But yes, I still do have pain in my body if I think about it. But I do like use the power of my mind, I said, to block out a lot of the pain, and I live a much better lifestyle. And I used to have depression, and it was the year that I got fibromyalgia I stopped being depressed since being a child, and that was back in 2012. So it actually freed me of depression, which is kind of like strange. But yes, I do still have it. I still have pain, but I'm kind of an example to people of how people can live with the condition but have a happier, more energetic, vibrant life, because I don't eat foods that are really bad for fibromyalgia. I'm allergic to most of them, and got food intolerances, but everything I'm allergic to and intolerant to usually is bad for fibromyalgia. So it always works out for me. Like life is kind of always working out for me. I've got things that are bad for me that I can't eat, that I react with, but it's good because they're the worst things for fibro people. Like, for example, wheat. It's like really bad for people with fibromyalgia to eat wheat because it really drains the energy in the body. And sugar is my worst allergy. I've had that since I'm 15 years old, so I can't have refined sugars. But I can have natural sugars. So there's a lot of like dietary changes and stuff that I do, and I talk about in my book, that people can swap things and eat different things to ease their pain and stuff, like natural products and things like that. So yes, I've actually got the condition. So but you overcame the condition, so you're completely pain-free now, are you? You have no pain in your body whatsoever?
Yes, and I don't take any medication. I'm not gonna deny that I'm not getting younger. So once in a while, of course, I'm gonna be in pain, and I'm just walking in Miami, walking and walking and walking. My feet hurts, But I believe any single human being that do not walk much and then suddenly start walking much, their feet are gonna hurt. It's because I'm working all the time behind a computer. So my job is not about going somewhere and walking to get there, because I just have to walk from my bedroom to my office in my house, and that's it. And but those are normal pains that we all human beings have, and I can focus and say, oh, I might have RA this, and that's why the pain is coming from. No, I just walk many blocks, and we got lost in Miami, in downtown, walking and observing the beautiful art and the beautiful murals, and we got lost. So yeah, my feet hurts, but that's something that is gonna pass if I don't focus on that, and everything is fine. It's not a sickness that I need a pill or go and see a doctor. That is very different. Where you wanna, whatever we wanna focus, whatever we focus our attention, is what is gonna grow. It doesn't matter what it is. So if we are aware of where our emotions and thoughts are going, it is what is gonna grow. What experience in life we wanna have, it is a matter of choice. So it's up to us to choose what kind of experience in life we want to have and create our new reality.
But I don't focus on my pain. It's one of the things I talk about in my book, Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, is I don't focus on that at all. I focus on other things, my mind. And I go clubbing sometimes as well, which is so good for my body. And like some people, one person said to me the other day, like, how can you do that when my sister's got fibromyalgia and she's bedridden? And I didn't get into a conversation and debate about that, but I'm like, I think I pointed out like what she actually eating, for example. But like there is different days and different things, because obviously with fibromyalgia, it's very affected by emotions. So it's really important to have positive emotions, like, as much as possible throughout your whole life. Anything that's emotionally upsetting automatically just causes much more pain. And so it's all about trying to keep your life as happy and balanced as possible. Like, I don't watch the news on purpose. I choose not to do that. I don't want to watch murder, death, violence, rape. When I came to the entrepreneur world in 2012, that's the same year as I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. It was my first business seminar, Success Resources, where I saw Tony Robbins live on stage, and he was amazing, and that changed my life forever. And that's when I went back to being my younger self. So I lived like a teenager, and I reprogrammed my mind using NLP, which I know you're an NLP practitioner, to be like 21 years old in my mind, and my lifestyle is very, very young as well. And I live a much more happier life because that's the me I was always like born to be. I used to be older. So when I was like younger, I used to be a very old soul, very, very old for my age. I think obviously I shouldn't say obviously, I believe that I've been here before in past lives. I've probably been a very, very old soul. I've probably lived a lot of lives, and I do believe in reincarnation. I believe I've been reincarnated and all those type of things. And so I life is very interesting from that point of view, but I believe, like everything, I actually believe everything happens for a reason as well. Even bad stuff can turn good and things like that. But yeah, in 2012 was when I went for my first business seminar, and that's when I started my self-love journey, when I saw Tony Robbins live on stage, and that completely transformed my life. And that worked really well with my fibromyalgia, because now I live like a younger lifestyle, and I'm younger and happier, then basically it kind of cuts out a lot of the pain, because I'm being my true authentic self, and I'm just like not, it's like if I ever get a guy in a relationship, it's like I don't want to do cooking or cleaning or housework for him, that's not actually me. I'd rather build websites and stuff like that. And I like living separately. I've lived on my own for years and things like that, but I you know, I go clubbing, theme parks, zoos, aquariums, all that type of thing, and I really thoroughly enjoy it. And I've seen some people there saying, oh, we saw Tony Robbins and he brought out like the mature like person in me and like the adult in me. I'm like, well, he brought out the wonderful kid side in me and teenager side that I absolutely love and adore. And so as I progress, I've actually got younger in like my outlook, my lifestyle, what I go and do and everything like that. So that's worked out really well for me and I love it. It's like the past me was very old soul. The young me's like the young me in the future now. I'm younger now with a young soul. So I've kind of switched. So it's like one's a past life, even though it was in this lifetime, and this is like my current new life. So I much prefer this life to that last life, if you know what I mean, even though in terms of time it was this life I'm experiencing now. So it's very interesting. So what would you say the actions are for the people who are listening if they wanted to start a business, doing their passion project, doing what they love, turn it into business? What 3 actions would you say that they needed to take? Like, what would be the next actions?
First, they need to sit down and ask themselves what do they want. That's the basics of NLP. Because if they wanted to, they may not know what they want, but they're doing it because someone else is doing it, and because they saw someone that is doing a lot of money. It's like, oh, I want to copy that person. That is the wrong choice if they wanted to start a entrepreneur going into coaching or healing and thinking, oh, I'm gonna become rich. In reality, they need to understand first what they really want to get from that. And then another one is get training, get get classes of whatever you want to do. Take classes, train yourself. You want to be a better service to others, train yourself. It is too much ego thinking that we can't learn anymore. It's because we're alive. We're always expanding and growing and learning. So get trainings. There are coaches for everything and all around the world. Thanks to Zoom, we can connect to any part of the world and get training. First of all, that will be my first step. That's the first thing I did before I start. And I start training when I start, before even I start learning NLP, when I start doing all that, I did it for myself. I even took NLP twice. Why? Because I wanted to really master NLP. And I took it with different teachers. The first time it was in UK and the other one was in New Zealand. And with one of my favorite teachers that to this day is the best human being I've ever met. It's in New Zealand. And at first I used it for fixing me, healing myself. And after I did that, then my friends came and asked me, what are you doing? Because they remember me when I was sick, when I couldn't get up from bed, when I was in a lot of pain, when I was depressed, when I was suicidal depressed. They remember that, Monica. And when they saw me, that my attitude in life changed, that I was not swollen, that I was not in pain, that the way I observed life, it was very different. That's when I says, how you're doing that? And that's when I start coaching what I knew. And I continue taking classes right now. I'm taking cognitive behavior therapy. And I wanted to learn more tools so I can help my clients and understand things in a different way. I have many clients that they have PTSD, and they have OCD, or they are in drugs or alcohol problems. If I wanted to have more tools so I can help them better, I have to train myself. The teachings and the learnings are always gonna be there. It's a matter of choosing to learn. And not because I have to take so many classes and so many certifications, that means that I know it all. I don't know it all. No one knows it all. There are always different trainings, different classes, different understandings that you can do to yourself. So like that, you can actually become a better tool to help others. But me taking even right now, the cognitive behavior therapy that I'm taking, it is not, I'm not doing it because, oh, I'm going to become rich. I'm going to have a bunch of money. I'm doing it because I want to be a better service to others.
It's very important. I think people, like, there's so many people on the internet that are plugging courses on how to make more money all the time. And you know, it's kind of like it hooks people, doesn't it? And they go down this trail of chasing the money, and that's why they're not really happy, because it's all to do with chasing. And a lot of them are disappointed because a lot of people that are teaching all these types of things, and they're saying you can get rich quickly, and a lot of the time maybe a few people do, but a lot of the time people don't, and then they become disappointed, disheartened, and they keep trying and trying again, and they're not really chasing their passion, and they're overlooking their passion. So I think it's really good that you keep reiterating that it's all about doing what you love first and foremost, and serving and helping people, not about the money.
Exactly. That's what it is. And stop copying others. Not because someone is being very successful, like, I want to be like that person. You have your own path, your own journey, and your own teachings, and your that you're going to be teaching, and the things that you're going to be learning. And it's not going to be the same experience of that person that you're trying to copy. So be original. Be you. Be unique. That's why we're all different. Or else we'll be all the same, and we'll have the digital, it will be all the same. But if they're all different, it's for a reason.
Do you feel that society does try and make people like robots?
Well, we have accepted that. It is not a society, that nothing has power over us unless we want to give it power to. So we choose. People are always in competition and in comparison because they don't feel good enough, or they don't feel they deserve it. So they envy and so forth. And those are lower conscious. And that will get them stuck because they're never going to be better than me. Why? Because no one can be Monica. I am the only one who can be Monica. I never can be Sandra. It doesn't matter how much I try. Sandra's unique. Why? Because that's you. That's your experience in life. The same applies for me, and the same applies for everybody. Why trying to copy someone else that at the end I'm not going to even feel comfortable to being like them because it is not me? And that's a big mistake in this society. That's why we have wars, because they wanted to have the petroleum, or they wanted to have their politics, or they wanted to have something that a country have. It is about competition and envy and avarice. And if we observe the planet Earth, that is being the problem with those lower consciousness. In the moment we change that from ourselves, we're changing the world outside. We can't change the world outside if we don't change it from inside. That's the real activism that we can do. Change and be unique. And stop comparing to ourselves to others. We don't know what other people have done to get wherever they are.
Yeah, some people that look like they're an overnight success have spent absolutely years doing their craft. I do another channel which people have known me for a long time, and I've been doing that for 7 years now, and it took me 5 years just to get 1,000 subscribers on that. I have had over 430,000 views on it though by now, and I love that. But I'm very authentically me on there. I'm like constantly vlogging, doing a live chat show about my life. It's like a reality TV show for asexuals, if you like, because that's like my main niche I've been known in for years. But I've been in the entrepreneur world and space since 2012, which is why I'm doing this channel now, to help people in their own life journey, because there is a fascination with money. We'll like online, if you search the terms, like people are always trying to find out how to make money online. Why do you think there is such a fascination with money with people?
Money is energy. That's what it is. And people want that energy because they see it in all the publicity and marketing in the TV, that if you have money, you're going to be happy. That is not true. Money doesn't have to do with anything with happiness. How many rich people we know that they're not happy and they have a lot of money? Money do not create happiness, but it creates an illusion of happiness. So that's why people are fascinated with that, thinking that that is going to create the dream life. The dream life is the one that we created ourselves day by day. But we're waiting to that moment to arrive, to have the perfect job, the perfect husband, the perfect money, the big accounts. Then you're never gonna be happy. Because when do you know that you arrive when you arrive? How much it is enough? And you're never gonna feel enough.
A lot of people they strive for like getting more money, and then their lifestyle changes, so they make more money and they spend more money. Usually that's what I've found in my experience. The more people earn, the more they spend, so then they're, oh, I haven't got much money now because I've just spent more. Do you find that from the people that you talk to, that people tend to spend more money the more they make, so therefore this lack of money they still have in their life, because instead of saving it, they've got a more lavish lifestyle to go with a more bigger income that they've got coming in?
When you don't feel worthy enough or you deserve it, you're never gonna have enough money. Because you're always gonna be chasing that. And the moment you start feeling that you deserve it and you're living your life as fulfillment without putting the attention of the money, that's when actually money is going to start arriving to you and it's going to be staying there. Money is just an experience that we can choose to have it, or we can choose that we don't deserve it and not experience it. And it's just a state of mind and emotion.
So to finish off with, then, what would you say to someone who's listening to this now who has a lack of money mindset, who thinks, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling out, especially obviously with the economy being difficult at the moment and people struggling? What advice would you give to them about their money mindset? Like, how can they get into a better frame of mind over money if they are really struggling to pay bills and energy prices going up and all this type of thing? What would you say to them?
Well, what I would recommend is first to check up inside themselves. If they feel good enough, if they feel worth enough, if they feel that what limitations are keeping them not having money. I have to do that dig deep in myself, so actually I can start living the life of my dreams. Or else I was always in a scarcity, that I was not good enough, that I was never going to have enough, that it was going to be always work, 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 without any kind of enjoyment. And when I started enjoying it, before even I had the money, when I started enjoying my life, that's when money started arriving. So if they change that mentality and first go with the enjoyment and get into the vortex, like
Abraham Hicks.
yes, Abraham Hicks talk about it. If they go into the vortex and enjoying that process, that's when they're going to be attracting that money. You can't do it vice versa. You can't change from outside. You have to first start changing it from inside. Start living that happiness before the money arrives.
So when Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex, what is it she actually means for those people who don't know what she's talking about?
It is basically start feeling that what would you do if you have the money? How would you dress? How would you feel? What food you will eat? What kind of mentality you will have? Start getting into that mentality first and start changing the way you observe life first. And that is getting to the vortex, whatever you want. You can be with the mentality that I am poor, that I don't have enough money, I'm never going to have enough money, life is too hard, money doesn't grow in trees. If you get into that mentality and you're still expecting money, a pessimist always have a pessimist experience. It is never going to work with a pessimist too. They do great. I have not seen it. It might exist. I'm not going to deny that because I can talk in absolute. But I can tell you that I have not met any pessimists that do great because they don't have the mentality of greatness. They have the mentality that everything is going to go to rot.
Yeah, mindset is so important, especially of being optimistic. Do you actually believe everything happens for a reason? Do you like that saying? Do you believe in that saying?
I believe we all human beings, we live in a synchronicity. So yes, everything that happened to us, it is for us. It is not against us. It is for we change our way of observing things, or we learn different lessons. So every single person that we meet, we experience, we talk, we grow, it is for our highest good. If we wanna see it, if we wanna, even if from the worst moments in our life, and if we observe it, what we learn from that, it is easier to move out of it.
Do you think it's hard for people to learn? So if people are experiencing something that's kind of a reoccurring pattern, what would you advise them to do? Do you think they're not getting the message of what that's trying to say to them, or do you think it's giving them different messages if they're having a similar pattern coming up in their life? So for example, obviously if someone's been in an abusive relationship, for example, they can actually end up attracting someone again that will abuse them again. What lessons do you think that is trying to teach them if they keep attracting the same type of person or the same type of situation?
Well, that applies for the same thing as applies for the money that you asked me before.
Yeah.
If they don't think they deserve a different experience, they're gonna be repeating the same pattern. It applies the same as for money and for everything. So first they have to work with themselves and be aware of their thoughts and emotions. So like that they can change their experience in life. If they don't feel they deserve great things in their lives, they're not gonna attract it. It doesn't matter how many affirmations they do a day, how many they meditate, how much they pray, or do whatever, do yoga. I don't know, whatever they wanna think. If they don't think they don't deserve it, nothing is gonna work. The law of attraction do works if you change your way of observing yourself and life. If you think you don't deserve it, you have to start from there. And when we become aware of every single emotion and thought that we have, we can stop it and we can change it. It says, no, I know I value myself. No, I know I deserve better. Our ego do not like changes. Our ego is afraid of them, and I'd like to continue making us feel fear. But it's up to us if we accept that conditioning of our ego or not. Because this is our experience in life. It is not a community that is going to choose for us unless we give them permission to choose for us.
So the experiences we go through, if we don't want it to happen again, we have to like basically be conscious and say, look, I realize I've had this experience before, it feels familiar and it wasn't good before, and I'm not going to go down there again, and I'm going to refuse to it. So obviously in the point of view of abuse situations, for example, obviously no one wants to be abused. And so if that situation crops up again where there might be someone that's going to act like that or that's starting to, actually recognizing that and saying, no, I'm not interested in carrying on that conversation, carrying on that relationship, taking it any further, because I know what's going to happen. I've seen this before. And actually being able to stick up for themselves and saying, I deserve better. That is like the lesson. Is that what you're saying?
Many people in the area of love or even in life, they sell. Okay, this is the best I can do. So I'm gonna settle with this person or this job or this money or this experience. That's not what I really want. But they settle for that because they don't feel they deserve it. They deserve better. So it is a matter of choice. You think you deserve better, why you're choosing lesser than you deserve? And that's a choice.
Have you got any final thoughts that you'd like to leave people with?
Yes, learn to love yourself and forgive yourself for any mistakes that you have done. You acted with information that you had in that moment. That is all. So forgive yourself, because more than you learn to love yourself, your experience in life is going to be very different. So become aware of that. Become aware of your thoughts and emotions, and that can create a big change in your life.
And so where can people find you online if they want to connect with you?
At Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com.
And I want to ask you, why are you called Warrior of Love? I mean, I could guess, but what you tell us why you're called Warrior of Love.
Well, my guides are the ones that start calling me Warrior of Love, and they told me that I was needing to use that name to own it, to start putting it on until I can understand it and feel it. I can stop using it, or if I want to continue using it, it's a matter of choice. I can continue using it, and then after I came to understand what was the meaning, the full meaning, and I was dressing with that. That's when I decided I wanted to continue using it because that's who I am.
Thank you so much, Monica, for being here today. I will put your link down below in the description to where people can find you. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Really loved our session today, our interview, and I'm sure everyone's learned a lot and felt your beautiful presence and loved listening to your story. You got so much vastness in your story. It's incredible. So I want to say thank you so much for being here. And to the people listening, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you are on YouTube. And if you're somewhere else, just follow, like, share, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this, however you're listening to it. Thank you so much, Monica. I appreciate you. And lovely to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can shortcut your time how to make money, make cash doing what you love so you can achieve your dreams. Find out more at makemoneymakecash.com.